Chapter 21. A few minutes later, Andrew emerged from the shower, dressed in whatever clothes his hands had first grabbed from the closet. The nightmare still clung to him, like fog that hadn't yet burned off with the dawn. The feeling of unease gnawed at him, and knowing Shara was alone in the house didn't help. Not after everything that had happened, or nearly happened in that dream. He stepped into the kitchen, and there she was. She stood quietly in front of the coffee machine, watching it gurgle and sputter as it slowly filled a mug. The faint scent of brewed coffee mingled with something else, something so unmistakably her. He started walking toward her but paused when his eyes landed on his desk. The laptop screen was still glowing, still open to the 10-year-old article he'd found the night before. The one about the police officer killed in the line of duty. He had, after all, come home and done what he planned, dug through old records, tried to piece together something useful about her father. But there had been nothing. No follow-up reports. No names that stood out. Nothing to give him more than what he already knew. Tired and frustrated, he'd given up sometime in the early hours, leaving the laptop on and his printed articles scattered like debris. Hoping she hadn't noticed, he crossed the room casually, reached for the laptop lid, and closed it with a soft click. Then, gathering the articles, he shoved them into a drawer. "I'm afraid it won't be very good," she said behind him. He turned. She was holding out the mug of coffee. "I haven't made coffee in centuries." He took it with a quiet nod and walked to the table, settling into a chair. She followed and sat down opposite him. "None for you?" he asked, breaking the silence. She shook her head. "No, thank you. I don't drink coffee." He took a sip. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't good either. Still, he appreciated the gesture. Her eyes were on him, steady and unreadable. Blue, cold, calm. She saw the article, he thought, swallowing hard. There was no point hiding it now. Feeling the weight of her gaze, he set the mug aside and leaned forward slightly. "How did you get in?" "Your front door was unlocked," she replied, a faint smile playing at her lips. He hesitated, then drew a breath. "No, it wasn't." She said nothing. "About the articles." She cut him off gently. "I wanted to speak with you somewhere other than the police station. You have questions, especially after last night, and you deserve answers." She turned away slightly, her expression hard to read, as if she were measuring the weight of her next words. And then his phone rang. He let it buzz for a moment, reluctant to break the moment, but she was silent now, not moving to continue. So he picked up. "Where the hell are you?" The captain's voice exploded in his ear. "I've been calling all morning." "Why, what's wrong?" "Get down here, now! And if you can, try to get a hold of Miss Black, too. She isn't answering her phone." "We'll be there shortly." He hung up and glanced at the clock, just after 7. "Something happened?" she asked softly, her voice breaking the quiet like a glass chime. He nodded. "The captain wants us at the station. Urgently." "Then we shouldn't waste time," she said, already rising. She moved quickly, slipping toward the front door before he could say another word. He followed, grabbing his jacket and holster on the way out. "We'll take my car," she said just before vanishing outside. By the time he stepped out, she was already inside the car, engine humming, talking softly on the phone. He caught the tail end as he opened the door. "I'll call you later." She hung up without looking at him. He thought about trying to restart their earlier conversation, but the silence that filled the car seemed deliberate, heavy with the things neither of them were ready to say. They arrived at the station in under 15 minutes. "Finally," the captain greeted them as they entered the bustling main hall. It was more crowded than usual, the tension obvious in every face. Without explanation, he motioned for them to follow. They moved swiftly down the corridor to his office. "What's going on?" Andrew asked, feeling the tightness creep back into his chest. "Come in. Someone wants to speak with you." Andrew glanced at Shara. She looked as unsure as he felt. "Who?" "Just come in." The captain stepped aside, letting them enter. Then he closed the door behind them and didn't follow. Inside, the small office was stuffy and dimly lit. A woman sat in a chair near the window, awkward and out of place. She looked to be in her 40s, dressed in a tight, low-cut nightclub dress. Heavy makeup clung to her face, and her scent, a cloying mix of perfume and cigarettes, hit him immediately. "Mr. Andrew Morty?" she asked, standing and approaching him. Her voice was husky. She reeked of cheap drinks and long nights. He nodded, already on edge. "I'm Sarah Moraine," she said, glancing toward Shira. Shira didn't speak but leaned casually against the wall by the door, arms crossed over her chest, her eyes fixed intently on Sarah. "She's with me," Andrew said quickly, sensing Sarah's unease. "She can be trusted." Sarah studied Shira for a moment longer, then finally sat back down. Andrew lowered himself onto the couch while Shira remained still by the door, unreadable. "I was told to give you this," Sarah said, pulling a piece of paper from a bright red bag. She handed it to him. Andrew unfolded it. A street name. That was all. "Rose Park," he read aloud. "A man asked me to deliver it. Said it was for you. Do you know him?" "No." "Can you describe him?" Sarah hesitated. "He asked me to wear a blindfold. Some men are like that." Andrew said nothing, but the implication was clear. Whoever this man was, he didn't want to be seen. "Did he say anything else?" "Only that I should find you and give you that paper. He paid well, no questions." "You realize you might have gotten yourself involved in something serious." "He told me you'd let me go," she said quickly, almost defensively. "Look, I didn't do anything. I just followed instructions." Andrew sighed, then looked to Shira. "And he was right," Shira said softly, stepping forward and opening the door. Sarah stood but didn't move. "I really needed the money. It's been a rough week." Andrew softened just slightly. He reached into his wallet and pulled out a bill. "We need one of the original notes he gave you, just to check it." She hesitated again, then reached into her purse and produced a bill, handing it to him. "You're sure this came from him?" She nodded, clutching her purse close and slipping out quickly. "We won't find anything on it," Shira murmured. "Probably, but we still need to have it checked." "Then we should check the address. If it's a trap, at least we'll walk into it with our eyes open." Andrew nodded, already preparing for the worst. The ride to Rose Park was quiet inside the car, but outside the city was already alive with the usual morning rush. Traffic crawled along congested streets, commuters inching toward their destinations. When they finally arrived, the church clock overlooking the park showed just a few minutes before 9 a.m. Andrew got out first and headed into the park with long, quick strides. Shira followed, scanning the area as she caught up. "What are we looking for exactly?" she asked. "I don't know," Andrew replied. "Something that shouldn't be here." The park was quiet, save for the occasional dog walker and the rustle of wind through the trees. They walked along the main path in silence, glancing occasionally down side trails and between benches. After 30 minutes of circling the park, they ended up near the entrance again. "I think we have to admit that—" A scream pierced the stillness. They turned instantly toward the sound. Across the street, near an old wooden house half hidden by bushes, a woman was crying and pointing. A small white dog barked furiously beside her. They ran. Shira was the first to reach the overgrown path beside the house. What had once been a garden was now just wild growth and rot. Pushing aside a cluster of tall weeds, she stopped. A body. Naked, crumpled and mutilated. The limbs were bent at unnatural angles, the face unrecognizable. Andrew caught up and dropped to a crouch beside it. He winced immediately. What the hell did they do to her? "She's old," Shira murmured, kneeling beside him. Andrew looked at her. She was studying the body with a strange kind of intensity. Not shock, but something more analytical. Shira's thoughts spun. The face was torn to shreds. The mouth barely resembled a mouth, but there was no blood. None on the ground. None clinging to the skin. Too clean, she thought. Too staged. She leaned closer and parted the woman's lips, or what was left of them. No teeth. A chill settled in her spine. Is this a vampire? Or someone made to look like one? She had seen enough death to recognize it. And this felt wrong. If it was a vampire, the missing teeth would make sense. Remove the fangs to hide the truth. And the heart. She glanced at the hollow space where the chest had been torn open, a dark void where a heart once belonged. Removing the heart was the only way to make sure a vampire couldn't regenerate. But this body didn't feel like that. This was a human, made to look like one of us. Andrew returned from helping the woman and called the station. "They'll be here soon," he said. "You okay?" "I'm fine," she replied quietly. "It's just disturbing." "She looks awful," Andrew agreed. "Whoever did this, they wanted her to suffer." They both stood, watching the street as the first sirens echoed in the distance. 3 squad cars arrived. The captain stepped out, followed by the forensics team. "Andrew, what in God's name?" He stopped short, staring at the body. "We think this might be one of the missing victims," Andrew said. "So our kidnapping case just became a murder investigation." "We should keep looking," Shera said. "There might be more." The captain frowned. "Whoever sent us here wanted us to see this. But why?" "To send a message," Andrew said quietly. "Or to draw us in. Either way, it's not random." "Like he's toying with us?" the captain asked. "Possibly," Shera added. "Or trying to lead us towards something." "All right," the captain said. "Start sweeping the area. I'll get forensics working. And let's check the park too, just in case." They all moved into action. Shera lingered a moment longer watching the corpse. The mutilation was brutal, but purposeful. Too purposeful. Why go to such lengths? To her, it was clear. Whoever did this wanted them to see something. Maybe to believe something. Maybe to distract them. But from what? They spent the rest of the morning searching, but nothing else turned up. "You were right," the captain told Andrew as the team began to pack up. "There's nothing else here." "I'll head to the morgue," Andrew said. He turned to Shera. "Coming?" She nodded, already walking to the car, her fists clenched at her sides. Wasted time. A human woman killed and made to look like a vampire. All for what? Whatever this was, it wasn't random, and she was done being 2 steps behind.